Today we're going to see where GTA 5 story will go if instead of Trevor killing Johnny Klebitz during his first mission, Johnny kills Trevor. But to make this story a bit more grounded, we gotta go back to the end of GTA The Lost and Damned real quick, and we'll just say that phone call of Johnny dumping Ashley after the game would be the last time that the two would ever speak to each other, meaning that at some point in the future Ashley dies and Johnny never gets hooked on drugs. With that established, let's say that Trevor and Johnny end up in that same situation like in the original, but this time it would be a turf dispute, not a dispute over Ashley, and having been pushed his buttons way too many times so far by Trevor, who is known to love to get a reaction out of someone, but on this day Johnny would be fed up and without a second thought he would lose his cool that he's known for, pull out a sawed-off, and right away put 2 bullets in Trevor's head, killing him instantly, and he would spare Wade and Ron and tell them to leave town and never come back, choosing to spare them because not only are they not really a threat, but Johnny's not a complete piece of shit. So Ron and Wade would that same day go their separate ways and leave Sandy Shores for good. Now, how would this affect Michael and Franklin, who just recently robbed the jewel store and paid off Martin Madrazo? Well, they'd still get roped into the FIB shit show and would have to do what they can with Steve Haynes up their ass. However, after nearly dying in Three's company, Franklin would reluctantly bring Lamar into the group, and while initially he would be hesitant on it, Michael assured him that it'd be fine, that's better to have a friend on board than some random dude. The most hesitant one would be Lester though. However, eventually after a few fuck-ups, Lamar would begin to take things a bit more seriously, and because he's been spending more and more time with the group, Franklin would just barely be able to convince Lamar to not go to that stupid deal on Grove Street for a stretch, barely avoiding death, because Franklin at this point wouldn't have gone with him because Trevor didn't show up, and if Lamar went on his own, we talked about this in the previous video, he would have been dead, but thankfully he didn't. So Lamar would then get a chance to really prove himself during the mission Blitz play, and after that mission Michael would be impressed with his ability to stay calm, which would be a complete 180 from how we saw him during the repossession mission, and even Franklin and Lester would be able to relax a bit knowing that Lamar is becoming somewhat more reliable due to the company he's been keeping. Lamar would then also be involved in the work for Devin Weston, but probably my favorite mission ever in this timeline would be Cata Libre, because Michael would specifically want Lamar to go with him and not Franklin, because Franklin has long proven himself, but Michael wants to test Lamar yet again on his own, and after not kidnapping Martin's wife, unlike Trevor, and doing the job that Trevor does in the original version, but a lot cleaner, Michael would be 110% confident in Lamar, even though everyone was nervous about bringing him along in the beginning. Man, do I want to see a mission with just those two. Lamar would then also participate in the Polito score and the monkey business mission. However, derailed would never happen, and since Trevor's dead, the prep work for the big one would be going along much faster, and not only would Michael never have that fallout with Trevor, but the gang would also never have issues with the triads. However, they would still have issues with the feds, and Lamar would also participate in the FIB raid for them, which probably wouldn't be as big of a shit show as it was in the original with Lamar on board. Now, what about the wrap up? Well, instead of Trevor, Lamar would be there to save Michael from Merriweather, which would officially be the moment that Lamar and Michael became friends. However, Michael would have to repay that debt to Lamar almost instantly, as Stretch would still get him set up and captured in Polito Bay, with Michael actually being the one to run down there during that mission and annihilate the Ballas and save Lamar himself as a way to repay him. Michael would still have his problems with Devin Weston though, and the movie studio and whatnot, and the crew would do the big one with Lamar, and by this point no one would even doubt him anymore considering how much he helped recently. And as for the final mission, when the new trio would be plotting who to get rid of, it would actually be Lamar who suggests that he himself goes and takes out Stretch, showing that he's still got some stuff to learn and that he's still not a pro like the others. Franklin would immediately dismiss this, and it would be Michael going for Stretch just like with the original game. Franklin would go for Steve Haynes, and Lamar would go for Devin Weston. And as for the triads and the Lost MC, I imagine that there would be some wars between them in the Blaine County area for some time, and the O'Neill brothers would maybe get involved too. But as for our main group, well, everyone wins aside from Trevor. And with that said, I want to thank you for watching this What If. Leave your What If suggestions in the comments down below, make sure that they're good ones, and also leave your thoughts and opinions on this What If. Until next video stream, bye bye.